All right, everybody. So it's 4 p.m. Um, and we're going to get started. So if you are new to Yin Yoga, this is such a wonderful time of year to do Yin. I think it's an interesting time of year to do it because Yin is characterized by being a grounding, cool, slow movement, right? And in what we're doing today, we're actually not going to be moving around at all. More typical Western yoga is a very yang yoga. So that's like all of your warriors, um, 1, 2, and 3, all of the poses that build up this kind of heat in the body and require a lot of energy expenditure. That's yang, right? So in the springtime, there's a lot of yang energy because, oh my goodness, we're gardening and there's all this stuff that we can do that we couldn't do before. And it's a wonderful time kind of to have that yang energy, to kind of feel it, this kind of buzz in the air when the sun comes out and we're able to be outside. That being said, sometimes this time of year, we can get slightly out of balance with a little too much yang, right? Where it's like that feeling like, oh my God, it's nice outside and I should be doing something, right? And not allowing yourself to have that more yin time that we need for rest and recovery. So you might find today, because it is such a beautiful day, that you might be a little more restless than normal, right? So all that is really normal. But I think we're gonna have a really great and very interesting practice today. So we're gonna start in fish. And if you've been here the last few weeks, then you'll be familiar with this posture. Now, if you don't have blocks and you do have a roller, you could use your roller instead of the blocks, just as a little tip. And you can also roll your blanket up, and that could also be used. If you have blocks and the blanket, I recommend putting your blanket over your blocks because it just makes it a lot more comfortable. So your mid back, about where your shoulder blades are going to be beginning, so maybe a little above the mid back, is going to hit the corner of your block. And you're going to allow yourself to lie down. Your head needs to be supported. And then the soles of your feet will come together. And the arms are going to come up over the head. Now, if your arms don't touch, like my arms don't really touch, then I'd recommend having them down by your sides, palms up. But if you can be here and your arms do touch the floor, then I'd recommend having them over your head. It's just a really beautiful opener for the chest. But we want that connection to the earth, right? Or, whatever's underneath you right now. So settle in, and we'll begin a 3-minute hold in this posture. And your 3 minutes have begun. In our, especially, the United States is we're very ambitious. We're full of ambition and, like manifest destiny and the American dream. And it's a lot of go, go, go. And this practice can be so healing because it really invites you to come to a standstill where we can make observations and see ourselves, our inner landscape, from a perspective that isn't like looking out the window going 60 miles an hour down a highway, right? It's like you stop and then you look around. So that's what I invite you to do, to start to do as you find stillness in the postures, is just open your inner eye, right? And just take a look around, see what comes up for you. Now you'll use your hands, bring them to the outside of your thighs, and just help your knees to come together. And then propping yourself up with your elbows, you can sit up and remove your blocks. So next we are going to do banana on both sides. And I know my friend Ashley is watching, is probably laughing right now, but that's what it's called. And I love this one. When I first saw this pose, when I first started doing yin, I was like, what is this? This is like nothing. But when you're in it, it is just so lovely. So what we'll do is stretch the legs out long on your mat. You're gonna bring your right foot to the right corner of the mat, and then you're gonna cross your left ankle over your right. And then, so your hips are kind of in the center of your mat. And then you're gonna lie down and you're gonna bring your shoulders also over to the right side. So your right shoulder is coming nice and close to the corner. And then you can bring your arms up over your head. So you're making a C curve through your whole body. So find that position. And it'll be 2 minutes on both sides. When I first started doing yoga, I really felt like I wasn't doing it right because my mind was wandering a lot and I would have anxiety and self-doubt and kind of this restlessness. And the thing that I loved about learning Yin Yoga practice was that all of that is normalized and named in Yin. And it's not something we talk a lot about in a more Yang practice like vinyasas and things like that. But in Yin, it is part of the mapping of the experience is going through those layers of our perceived self. And that includes, the mind, ruminating and emotions coming up. All of those things are part of the experience. So I just invite you to kind of feel it, to think it, and really have your goal be not to stop thinking or stop feeling, but can you think and feel with equanimity and without judgment? And slowly you'll switch sides and make sure to uncross and recross your ankles as well. I'll give you about 10 seconds to settle into second side. And your 2 minutes has begun. If you do find that your mind has become hijacked by a particular ruminating thought or emotion, focus on your breath. The breath is such a powerful, it's so simple, so profound. And if you really focus your attention to it, it will shake loose that thought that is capturing your attention. And before coming back into an upright position, make sure you straighten out your body, uncross your ankles, and press yourself up. And next we'll be coming into butterfly. So I prefer to sit on something, whether it's a block or you can roll your blanket up. That's perfectly fine. Because my inner groin is, I just have really tight inner thighs. So it helps me to get into a better, more upright posture to start with. So decide how close you want your feet to your body for the butterfly. Eventually, we're going to be coming forward. And if you're ready to go, then you can do this now. You're going to be coming forward and resting your head on a block, pillow, coffee table, whatever you can find if you don't have a block. And the other option is you can lengthen out, right? So move your feet farther away, and that's really going to change the stretch. And then the block can be on the inside between the heels and your groin. Okay, so I'll give you a few seconds to just find the position that's going to work best for you. And we'll be here for 3 minutes, beginning right now. So as we get into a little bit more intense postures, I take comfort knowing that the reality of the fluctuations that are going to happen. So if you're feeling a very certain way right now, like a very intense sensations, just know that that will evolve and it will change over the next few minutes. So just ride it out. It's like a wave. It's not going to stay the same. So just be with it best that you can. Don't label it. It's not good. It's not bad. It just is. Use the breath to create space and soften. Release any tension from your arms and shoulders. You have less than 1 minute remaining. Gonna gently press up through the arms, helping the upper body into an upright position. Good, and then help your knees in one at a time. Take your time. Nice. See, it's over. For some of you, that may not have been very intense, but oh my goodness, butterfly sounds so nice, but I find it to be very intense. So next we'll be coming into dragon. So let me show you the position. So you're gonna bring your one of your feet to the outside of your pinkies, basically. Now for me, again, just super tight all around. So I'm gonna bring my blocks up quite significantly. Now for some of you, you'll need to stay upright, right? You'll need to be pressing through your arms. And that's perfectly fine, because part of the yin practice is finding your particular edge, right? And that's a very fine line, and only you know where that is. So I will be coming down onto elbows on my blocks, and some of you feel free to come all the way down to the floor. Now this knee can fall out to the side. I can show you from this side, it's a little easier to see. So you don't need to keep your knee stacked over your ankle. It will most likely fall to the outside and open up the hip, and that's fine. Just let your body go. It's going to like melt, right? So if you picture like a pat of butter in a pan, you kind of don't know which way it's going to go as it melts. Just allow it to happen naturally, okay? So all the softening, just go where your body wants you to go. We'll be holding for 3 minutes on each side. Okay, let's begin. Deep, even inhales and exhales can help soften and create space in the muscles and in the joints. So continue to oxygenate those muscles. Don't hold your breath, right? Holding the breath will create tightness, okay, and make the body and mind more anxious if we feel like we're not getting enough air. So just continue in and out through the nose. Mindful not to transfer tension into the shoulders, head, and neck. If you can rest your head, I recommend it. Less than 1 minute remaining on this side. If you're having strong urges to move or come out of the pose, do your best to breathe through it. Resolve to remain still, committing to the finish of our time. We only have a few seconds remaining. Good. Very slowly begin to shift the weight back through the hands. So bending through the back hip and straightening through the front leg. We'll come back into a tabletop position and just sit on our heels for just a moment. Take a few breaths, and then we'll come into second side. If you're ready to come into second side now, then feel free. If you need a moment, then take just a moment. And let's make our way. Finding stillness, find a position that you can remain still. And our 3 minutes has begun. If you have the ability to rest your head and neck completely, please do so. Being sure not to clench the jaw. And just noticing how the mind is trying to handle the intensity of your stretch. And I talked about last week how I find it very fascinating because the way that we initially, our knee-jerk reaction to what's happening in our yoga practice generally aligns with our reactions to life's issues as well. So in Yin Yoga, they talk about 4 ways that practitioners will react or respond to the intensity of a stretch. The first way is by running away from what's happening. So that's somebody that either can't hold the stretch, or they just won't do Yin Yoga at all because they just cannot sit through it, right? So they have this urge and to kind of run away from the discomfort that is brought up and onto the surface from a practice like Yin. The next is to try to change what's happening. So you might notice, like if you keep moving, like you can't sit still, or you're like imagining like coming out of the pose a lot. That is the second reaction, that trying to change and the inability to just accept and be with what is going on in your body. The third way is giving up. So this is, you stay in the posture and you give up and you just suffer through it. And this is not to be mistaken with the fourth way, which is acceptance of what's happening. So if you just kind of roll over and, you know, you're like, I hate it, but whatever, you know, I guess I'll just suffer through, you know, that's really different than the acceptance of what's going on and being able to be with your experience with equanimity and non-judgment. Because in the giving up and suffering, you're judging, right? It's like, fine, I'll do this, but I hate this and it sucks and it hurts and la. There's a lot of emotion behind it. Whereas the acceptance is emotionless, right? There are emotions, but you're not attaching yourself to them, right? So that's a really important distinction. It's not that you're not going to have thoughts, or you're not going to have emotions, but can you be objective? Can you be the witness to what's happening in your own mind? Just a few seconds remaining. Good, gently pressing up through the hands, and slowly you can come into a little bit of a counter stretch, straightening out the front leg, bending through the back hip. All right. And then coming back into your tabletop, and you can sit for a moment. Very nice. So we'll be coming into frog next, which is another one that gets into the inner groin and inner thighs. So I set up like a little pad like this. So I'm making
a little platform for myself. Hopefully you guys can see me. So I'm gonna bring my feet, you can see how my feet are externally rotated, so they're not this way. They are turned out and my ankles are aligned with my knees. And you're gonna walk your knees as far away from your center line as you can. Now, some of you might just need to rest on your elbows, but if you can lie down on the floor, on a pillow, on blocks, whatever, and then make sure you can rest your head. And how close your hips are to your heels is going to make a difference. So if I move my hips closer to my heels, that's a lot more intense. If I move closer to you, then it's a lot less intense. Okay, so just take a few seconds to figure out what is going to work best. And we'll be here for 3 minutes, beginning right now. So in order to come out of the pose, press down into elbows and then press up onto the hands. Bring your toes together behind you and then using the strength of your arms, begin to walk your knees towards one another. Good, you can sit back. Yeah, very nice. That's an interesting one for sure. Good, so next we'll be coming into sleeping swan, which is better known as pigeon pose. So we'll bring the right knee right behind the right wrist. And then if you have a deep bend through this knee, you can just encourage this ankle to come up a little bit more this way. You don't want to crank on the knee. If you feel any tightness, tension, tingling, stabbing, whatever, then you've gone too far. but it does help to open up the hip a little bit. And the other part is to square the hip. So if you come down from here, right, you can see my pelvis is not square with my shoulders. So my hips and my shoulders are nice and square. And then from this position, nice straight leg behind you, you can scoot the leg back. You can stretch out through the back leg. The hips move closer to the floor. So again, as low as you want to go, if you have blocks, you can use them to support your upper body. So you could be here and then resting your head or lower, or you could be all the way on the floor. So we're going to spend 3 minutes on each side. Soften and relax your arms and your shoulders. Relax the muscles around your face. And remember, ride that wave of experience. Be curious and compassionate about whatever it is you're experiencing, physically, emotionally, whatever. Good. Slowly press up through the hands, bringing the upper body into upright position. Now to come onto second side, we're simply going to rock our weight onto the hip that's forward. And then we'll just do a little bit of a switcheroo here. So the left foot will come in front, and then we'll just gently, very gently, because that hip was just flexed, send that leg back behind us. And again, all slow movements here. Yin is slow, so take advantage of that and move at a glacial pace. Good, finding your point, that edge, and then settling into stillness for the next 3 minutes. And this time that we spend with ourselves is so precious, right? Even though, we're dealing with the good, the bad, and the ugly of what comes up for us in our thoughts and our feelings and the sensations in our body. But at the end of the day, it really is precious, precious time. This quiet, mindful time. If you're pressing your teeth together, relax your jaw, relax your shoulders. Gently press your tongue to the top of the roof of your mouth, and that can help to soften your jaw. We have less than 1 minute remaining. Slowly pressing up through the hands. And you can rock onto the left hip, and we'll straighten the legs out in front of us. So next we'll be coming into forward fold or caterpillar. I generally sit up on something for this one. And I recommend that too. I think for me, I'll just do a little bit of a folded blanket. And again, what that does is it helps to root down. So often when we sit on our butts, we're not really grounding down through the root, which is your perineum. We end up excessively posteriorly tilted instead of here, okay? So that's a really big difference. It just changes our connection and our feeling of groundedness. So we have something that we're sitting on, it helps to tilt the pelvis forward so we can really plug in a more meaningful way. So even just a few inches, I rock right to the edge, and then watch, you can see my low back. I'm able to rock forward. Yeah, that makes a big difference. So depending on how tight you are, one thing I like to do, if you have a pillow, you could do this with a pillow too underneath your knees. Actually, my roller would be great too. But when we come into forward fold, if you have, oh yeah, that's nice. If you have really tight low back or really tight hamstrings, this can be such a beautiful option. And then like if you have a pillow, you can end up like here, right? Because in yin, passive. So what does passive mean? It means the least amount of effort possible. So you want to be completely surrendered into the posture, right? So if you're like this, right, that's not great, right? Because you're having to hold yourself up. So do everything you can with as many props as needed to get into a position where you can completely let go of the musculature effort. Okay, we'll stay here for 3 minutes. No. No. Sorry, everyone. Ruby saw something. Slowly pressing up through the hands to come back into your upright posture. Oh, good. You can just do a little bit of a counter extension through the spine. Oh, that's nice. All right, so next we're going to be coming into shoelace. So definitely sitting up on something for this one, at least to start out. You might find that you don't need it, but it's better to have it in the beginning and decide that after. So I'll be sitting up on a block, making sure that both my sit bones are nicely, firmly on my block so I don't feel unstable. And here's what we're gonna do. It's like literally like tying a knot. So it's like we're gonna take our ankles and we're gonna pull them as far as they'll go
to the sides, okay? Now, depending on the day, some days I can get into this posture like not easily, but you know, some days are definitely better than others. It really depends on what kind of strength training I did. Did I go for a run yesterday? Maybe I'm feeling a little bit tight, but the idea is to get the knees stacked one over the other, and then the ankles are moving out this way, so they're not here. Now it's going to be a little easier if your ankles are closer to your body, so if you need that, then just do it, that's fine. Now for some of us, just sitting upright is enough of a stretch through the outside of the hips that you do not need to come forward. If you would like to come forward, like I have all kinds of things. Like for me, I could probably like get to here, like this is my roller. I could probably do this and feel okay. And for some of you, you might be able to even like completely come prostrate, and that's totally fine too, okay? So just find your appropriate edge, and we'll be here for 3 minutes. If you begin to feel overwhelmed by sensation, thought, emotion, return your attention to the breath. Allow it to ground you and anchor you into the present moment, where everything is exactly how it should be, and you are perfect in this moment. There's 1 minute remaining. Good. Slowly unwind. You can straighten your legs out in front for a second. A little bit of a stretch, whatever feels good before switching sides. Allowing for asymmetry, like, oh my gosh, completely different on this side for me. I think I might try to lift myself up a little higher here. see if that helps me out. Nice. So finding your edge, finding the position that's going to work best for you. Again, if you want to come forward, fold forward, that's perfectly fine. Too high. Yeah, I was too high. All right, everybody, 3 minutes. If you are staying posturally upright, imagining a straight line running from the perineum right between the sit bones, straight through the spine and out the crown of the head. Inhalations lengthen and lighten the spine, and exhalations ground you down through your root. Inhales bring softness and light. Exhales bringing trust and a sense of security and belonging. Where can you soften? Your mouth and jaw, the small muscles around your face. Taking complete inhales and complete exhales. The chest and shoulders rise and fall. The belly expands and contracts in all directions. Less than 1 minute remaining. And if you've come down, rise up, and we will unwind, stretching out the legs in front of you, taking a moment. You can give yourself a little bit of a massage, it feels nice. And next we'll be coming into extended child. And I'll show you a few options for this stretch. So perhaps if you want to get a little more opening through the front shoulders, that is an option for you. So extended child, your knees can be together or separate. Toes stay touching underneath you, so your feet are staying together. So whatever works best for your body, your hips, whatever. And then coming down, resting your forehead at the hairline. So if you don't have the range to come down all the way, then you need to have something like a blanket so that your head can rest. I do not want your head hanging above the floor, okay? So do what you need to do. And the arms are reaching out in front of you. Now, if you'd like a little more opening through the shoulders, then you can place blocks underneath the elbow and forearms, and that's going to help to open up
through the upper body a little bit more. Okay, so I also have this roller. So if I didn't have my blocks, I could use my roller and I could settle in here. Now, if you have the blocks and you are interested in doing this version, rest your head. You can bring your hands together and then your thumbs can come to the base of the spine. Okay, so we'll be here for 3 minutes, whatever version is going to work best for you, and begin. Good. So to come out, if you had your elbows bent, you're going to unbend your elbows and gently lift the upper body. And we'll come to lie down on our backs. Now this requires a block. You can use a roller or a blanket, but this is going to be supported bridge. So whatever height block, it doesn't, it really depends on your comfort level and your body. So I'm going to do medium, and it's right under my sacrum. So it's not under my lumbar spine, okay? It's supporting my pelvis. So you should feel completely secure and supported by your block. If you feel wobbly, then you need to make adjustments. If you have the roller, you can use the roller instead. If you only have a blanket, then roll your blanket up best you can and place that underneath your pelvis, okay? A few options, your arms can be down by your sides, or you can have them up over your head, bent at the elbows, just flopped where they may. Now, the only effort here is just making sure the knees don't fall out to the side So you do want to keep the thighs relatively parallel for this posture. And we'll be here for only 2 minutes. If you've brought your hands over your head, bring them back down by your sides. For 1 minute, I'll have you straighten your legs up over your hips. So we're in a supported shoulder stand, just a gentle inversion, which can be really calming, very healing energetically. We'll be here for about 1 minute. You can feel that reverse flow of energy. Good, one at a time. The feet come down. Press through the feet to lift the hips, remove your block, and set the block to the side, hugging both knees in towards the chest. And the knees are together here, best that you can. So narrow through the thighs. Gently pulling the knees towards the chest. Keeping the spine long on your mat. Good, lengthening out just the right leg. We'll bring the left leg across the body, pick up and scoot back the bottom hip. We want both hips stacked. Now, if your knee does not touch the floor, then you're going to take a block or blanket to make that contact. Arms come out by the sides, palms up, and you're going to look out over your left shoulder. Slowly moving back through center, shifting the hips back to the center of your mat. We'll straighten out the left leg and bring the right knee across for your twist, scooting the bottom hip under, stacking one hip over the other, bringing a prop under the inner thigh as needed. Stretch the arms out, palms up, gazing over the right hand. Completely release the effort of your muscles, feeling heavy on your mat. You can close your eyes. Slowly moving back through center. And next we'll come into happy baby. So first hugging the knees, but making sure the knees are wide, right? So you're gonna take your knees, you're gonna pull them out to the sides and then reach to the inside of your thighs to grab onto the outer edges of your feet. Now from here, you're going to bring a 90-degree bend into each knee. The ankle is directly over the knee and you're gently pulling with the arms to bring the knees like they're going to land on the outside of your rib cage on your mat. Now, if you can't reach your outer edges of your feet, that's fine. You can just grab onto your ankles and it's not a big deal at all. Now, either way, keep the spine long, okay? So the tailbone, you're untucking the tail, getting extension through the spine, and the head is down. So lengthening and flattening the back. Take a few deep breaths here, and now you can start rocking around. So you don't have to stay still. You can move around in your happy baby. And we'll just take about 30 more seconds here. Softening through the hips and hamstrings best that we can. Breathing into any tension. And then just sitting with what is, right? Just whatever the sensations are. Good. Releasing your grip. Last hug in of the knees. And then one at a time, the legs will lengthen. Wide on your mat. Your arms come by your sides, leaving room between your arms and your body, palms facing up. We are in corpse pose, final resting posture of the series today. Close your eyes. And we'll start a relaxation guided meditation starting from your toes. Relaxing, becoming aware of each toe on your foot. Feeling warm, soft energy moving into your feet. Making your heels heavy on your mat. That warm river of energy moves into your calves and shin bones, loosening and softening the muscles. Through the back of the knees, through the thighs, the muscles around your thigh bones soften and relax. Moving up into the pelvis, filling the pelvis with warmth, a feeling of safety, giving permission to completely let go, feeling the heaviness of the pelvis on your mat. That warm, calming energy moves into your belly and low back, releasing any gripping or tension. Your belly rises and falls rhythmically, naturally, instinctually. Moving up into mid-back, into low ribs, soften and relax. Into shoulder blades and chest, heavy. Shoulders, arms and elbows, warm and soft, sinking into your mat. Hands and fingers release and relax. Fingers in a curled, neutral position. Through the back of your neck and throat, your jaw, become soft and supple and relaxed. Back of the head heavy on your mat. The small muscles around your face soften and relax. Your tongue rests on the roof of your mouth. The tip of the tongue gently behind your two front teeth. Your whole body and being
saturated in warmth and light, a sensation of safety, belonging, groundedness fills you. Your thoughts and emotions float by your mind's eye like clouds in the sky, not attempting to manipulate or stop them, completely releasing any effort within the mind, including attachment to any of these thoughts or emotions or images that may be passing by. Just allow them to float by. Let go. Bringing signs of life into fingers and toes. Slowly hugging in one knee and then the other towards the chest. Rocking on to the right side of your body. The right arm can reach over your head, resting your right ear on your right bicep. With as little effort as possible, coming into a seated position, cross-legged, sitting up on a block or blanket, finding your sit bones, your root, lengthening up through the spine, eyes closed, and shoulders relaxed. Hands can rest on your thighs or in your lap, wherever they naturally fall. And taking a moment to observe the inner landscape, noticing how it may feel and look different than when we first started our practice. We'll bring our hands together in a prayer position, pressing thumbs against the sternum. May we let go of what does not serve us, so
May we accept ourselves and our life exactly how it is in this moment. May we trust that we are exactly where we're supposed to be. And may we know there is an infinite source of wisdom and love at the center of our being. Namaste.